Here.
Mr. Ritzenthaler,
Here.
Mrs. Schellinger,
Here.
Mrs. Wick.
Here.
Okay. This time the Pledge of Allegiance, if we all would put our hand on our hearts and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
Here.
Okay. Nice flag. Pledge of Allegiance. We all put our hand on our hearts and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. Adoption of the agenda. George, is everything you have us here? Any late? We're all good? Okay.
Nothing new.
All right. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Snellinger. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Wick. Roll call.
Mrs. Schellinger,
Yes.
Mrs. Wick,
Yes.
Mr. Linder,
Mr. Yes. Okay. George, is everything you have us here? Any late?
Mr. Moore.
Okay. We're getting feedback from you on that.
I'm working on it.
Adopt the agenda?
Hang on.
Okay.
So moved.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay, Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler.
Yes.
I do believe I have you all.
All set? Okay. Treasurer's reports.
Okay, well, not too much this month. We have the May 2020 financial reports. A couple things to note on there. The bond payment was big this month. That was $81,837.50. That's the interest only payment. We make an interest payment now, and then in December, we pay the principal and the interest. We did receive a refund of our vehicle insurance from the Ohio School Plan, which I thought was nice. It was only $1,879, but it was really kind of the thought that counts, that at least they refunded us some of our money. So that was a good thing. Other than that, we didn't have too much new in May. A lot of refunds. When you look at the disbursements list of all the checks, you'll see a lot of regular people's names instead of just vendors. So we had to refund quite a few different things to parents and people that had done fundraisers and whatnot. So we had a lot of refunds this month. We are still working on a musical. Robin has a plan for the musical. So we're really hoping that people might just donate to the musical and we don't have so many refunds there. So we'll see how that goes. The CARES Act, we did finally get the approval on the CARES Act, the ESSER money, and the allocation is out there. It is $630,858. Of that, there's an allocation for the non-public schools, and there's a mishap between the federal government and the states as far as exactly how much should be set aside for the non-public. So we don't have a definitive number on that yet. So we're still waiting for exactly how much we can spend. In the meantime, our guidance from ODE is that neither us nor the non-public spend that money up to $107,000. So basically that leaves us with $520-some thousand. My plan, Amy and Dan and I discussed this yesterday. We're probably just going to wait until next fiscal year, which is next month, to use the ESSER money because there is different reporting that goes into it if we start using it this month. What we want to do is use this to offset our state foundation funding decrease and whatever occurs with next year, which we're not sure what kind of decrease we're going to be seeing. So we're looking to offset it with the ESSER money and then maybe do some Chromebooks if we have to do some more things with online learning with our students so that we have Chromebooks that we're able to both use in the buildings and hand out to everyone. If we, depending on how next year works, we might have to do some blended learning. So that's the plan for that money. So then we have our minutes. I sent out the minutes. I did add to the minutes, the ones that I had originally attached, the resolution, the two resolutions that you did last time. I added the actual language of the resolution into the minutes. That just makes it easier, 10 years from now when you're looking back trying to figure out exactly what was in an MOU to have it right in the minutes, because the minutes are always easy to find and out there. So it wasn't an addition, it was just more of the actual language in the minutes. Next, we have the cafeteria transfer. We might wait on this and use some of the ESSER money. I'm gonna see how it goes when we actually get down to year end. Or we might just transfer it and then reimburse it at a later date, because our food service is running in the red. We did manage to not do this last year. I'd like to not do it if we don't have to, but we also don't want to continue to run in the red in the food service. We then have a set aside transfer, $250,000. This is just an internal general fund transfer. We have a set aside maintenance that's required by law, and it comes out of a separate, it's general fund money, but it comes out of a separate special cost center. So we just put it on there for approval. Then we have our changes to the appropriations and estimated resources, and we have our temporary fiscal 21 appropriations. This gives us a spending authority so that July 1st, we're able to make payroll, pay bills, and all that is what temporary appropriations are for. You'll notice on there, when you look at them, I wasn't really sure. We don't yet know if we're still going to receive our student wellness and success money for next year. Don't really know what the budget is. So, it's a good thing they're temporary because they will change. Hopefully September is when you approve the permanent appropriations. Hopefully by September, we will have the actual answers of what our appropriations will be. Then we had the resolution to join Ohio Coalition for Equity and Adequacy of School Funding. This is what I had sent out to you, I think Friday. Basically, it's we've always joined the coalition, and they support public schools as far as their state funding. Then we have donations. The endowment fund donated $65,154, and this is what was used towards scholarships for our students. And that's all I have for you this month.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the treasurer's reports, all items?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Do we have a second? Thank you, Mr. Linder. Any discussion? No discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Linder?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler?
Yes.
Mrs. Schnellinger?
Yes.
Mrs. Wick?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, personnel.
All right, under items for approval, number one, we have the change of classification for John Missler from bus driver to custodian, and for Athena from transportation assistant to custodian. Number two, we have one of our yearly approvals, which is for Adam Kreischer to be our resident educator coordinator for the 2020-2021 school year. This is part of the requirements that our teachers have to work towards their professional licensure, where they're assigned mentors, and they have a number of different things they need to go through to attain their professional educator license. Number three is a correction for our extended school year. We had these folks were approved on a daily basis when they are typically approved by an hourly basis. So we're correcting that to change from the days that they had been approved for last month to the hours that are listed, which is what we normally do, by hours, not by days. Number four is the contracts and stipends at member rate for our LPDC members. And again, this is a required group that helps with our staff, our licensed staff, go through their approval process to retain their teaching licenses, pupil permits, things like that. Ernst Hausen Performing Arts Center coordinator, Molly, is coming back again for us. Molly does a great job taking care of the EPAC and keeping that facility like it's brand new. Even though it's nearly 20 years old, you'd never know by going through. She does a great job of scheduling and really taking great care of the Performing Arts Center for us. And those are the items under approval personnel.
Do we have a motion to accept the items under personnel?
I so moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Wick. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Snellinger. Do we discussion on anything here? No discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Wick?
Yes.
Mrs. Schnellinger?
Yes.
Mr. Linder?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler?
Yes. Okay, superintendent's reports.
Under items for approval, number 1, we have disposal of obsolete items. We have items from the district, as well as we have a number of items from the athletic department that we would like to get rid of. And that countywide auction is on June 20th. Number 2 is our agreement with Lorain County ESC for services in the school year 2021. And these are services, intervention services that are required for our students that we don't get through North Point. Number 3 are board policies. I'll talk about A and F together. A and F relate to, there is a new version of the Ohio Teacher Evaluation System coming out. We call it OTES 2.0. And we're required as a district by law to pass a policy on OTES 2.0 prior to July 1st. So we're passing a placeholder policy. As you know, evaluation of staff is a working condition. So the elements of OTES 2.0 will need to be negotiated with our bargaining unit. But to meet the state mandate, we're approving this policy to hold our place and meet that July 1 deadline. Items B, C, D, and E all relate to the changes that were made to FMLA based on the coronavirus pandemic. And these policies catch us back up to where we were required to be through the federal changes. Number 4 is notification, development, and use of a blended learning model for the 2020-2021 school year. We're required to notify ODE if we're going to possibly implement a blended learning model. Right now, looking at the way things are in Huron County, unless we're told otherwise by the state of Ohio, we're moving ahead with plans that school will open as usual in August. However, we've in contact with our families, we've found 10 to 20% of our families are a little uneasy about possibly returning to school, even with safe health protocols in place. So we would like, or we're planning to offer an option to our families that are uncomfortable returning to go into a blended learning model, which would be much different than what we saw this spring. This blended learning model would have to be much more rigorous, much more robust. There would be grading. It would be taking what we do in the classroom and just moving it online. And everything would be, as similar as we could make it, recreate that experience in an online environment. But again, that would just be an option for families that are uncomfortable coming back. We want to try to make a way so that we can get back here in August and meet all of our families' needs. We strongly feel 80 to 90% of our students are ready to come back, and we're going to welcome them back in August. But we wanted to provide an option for that 10 to 20% that may be uneasy at this point in coming back. So that would just merely be an option for parents that just are uncomfortable. And those are all the items for approval under superintendent's reports.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the superintendent's reports.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, Mrs. Wick. Thank you, Mrs. Snellinger.
Yep.
Do we have any discussion on the superintendent's reports?
No, thank you for clarifying that blended piece there. So if anybody has questions, then I can just forward it to you, Mr. Fisk. You explained it very well.
We just want to make sure we can meet all of our families' needs. And we think, based on the feedback we're getting, those are the 2 avenues that we see that would meet everyone's needs. Returning, full for everyone that's comfortable, and an option for those that are not. I think it'll meet all of our parents and families' needs.
I agree.
Yep.
Very important to get these kids back in school. Regardless, just it's not good. I think we need to get these kids back. I need to get more than one teachers, and the online stuff is great. I think we need to do something as far as checking temperatures and making sure we're not letting sick kids in school.
Mm-hmm.
Kids need to be in school. And I've discussed this with many people, and we're all in agreement. So the blended thing, I think it's tough to get it back. But let's work on getting them back in school.
I definitely agree with you, Mr. Linder. We definitely need to get them back in school. And Mr. Ream is working on our logistics team. Is just a reminder, we created 3 teams, a curriculum team, a logistical team, and a student support team to work on mental health issues. And we are going to abide by the state requirements. And we will do everything we can to keep our kids safe, but we definitely want the kids back. And we'll do whatever we need to do to get them back in the buildings where they can learn face to face with their teaching staff.
Anyone else? No. A roll call, please.
Mrs. Schnellinger,
Yes.
Mrs. Wick,
Yes.
Mr. Linder,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Ritzenthaler.
Yes. Okay, items for information there. Yehovah News. Lisa,
Yeah, thank you. Not really a whole lot. I mean, of course, we're going to do ours tomorrow morning on Zoom as well. I have one announcement from one of our graduates, and I'm probably going to screw up her name, Litzy Morales Velasquez. She received a $1,000 scholarship for Violence Positive People, and it's a nonprofit organization that awards scholarships to high school students in Erie County that have had adversity in life and overcome adversity with a positive attitude. So I just wanted to personally congratulate her. I don't know the details of her adversity, but it's, I mean, it's fantastic. But other than that, I think we are going to hopefully meet in person, but in a larger room next month.
Oh, that'd be great. That's fun.
But I
Okay.
don't know, the rules, 10's the limit, but yeah, we can have 300 at a wedding. So we have to get that all cleared out. So.
Anyone else have anything to bring up tonight?
Yeah, I just would like to say, George, you and the team did a great job at graduation. It was really neat. I had a lot of feedback from people, and it was amazing to see the people strung out throughout the city and out throughout the country, coming out of the city. You guys did a great job. And I just want to thank you for that. And I hope all the kids appreciate what you guys went through to do that. So yeah, hats off to all of you. So thanks for taking care of that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I can't give enough thanks to Mr. Bader and his family, Mr. Cooley, Mr. Kenya, Ms. Sandor, Ms. Stewart, Mr. Schlotterer, Ms. Chapin, Mrs. Linder, the entire office staff at Norwalk High School. They did a great job. They put in a lot of hours. They spent a lot of time planning, and it was well worth it. Just like you, Mr. Linder, I've heard nothing but great things from our families and our graduates. We actually have started something, because I'm hearing now from the other classes that they too want to graduate at Summit Motorsports Park. So we may have opened a Pandora's box there of excitement, and everybody wants that chance. But it was nice that the class of 2020 that lost so much had such a really cool experience, and many of them got to race their cars down the drag strip, which very few people can probably say.
I think I have to admit that was probably one of the highlights. It was definitely very unique. Probably not as emotional as what I thought, because I was just focused on Kathy. And so nobody had to worry about all the tissues that I was going to have on stage. But it was definitely a unique experience, and one that they will definitely never, ever, ever forget.
Dwayne and we spoke with Mr. Bader after the ceremony, and he made a comment. It was really impressive. I'm really proud to hear that. He said, we have real strong leadership in this district. And I think Dwayne and I were kind of, wow, that's just great to hear. That's fantastic. But with that program we had out there, that was amazing. And I even got to race down the track. And I'll tell you what, I backed off because I thought, if I lose it and crack my car up, what am I going to tell my wife? But that was fun, fireworks and everything, and all the kids and the way their diplomas were handed to them. And next year, I understand that Mr. Cooley wants to jump out of an airplane with a parachute on and have diplomas in a backpack, and he's going to try to hit the parking lot. So we'll see if that comes true or not. So that should be exciting.
And he would probably do it. Mr. Kenya and I would not do it, but Mr. Cooley probably would.
I'd do it. Okay. Dwayne, do you want to make any comments about graduation? I know you spoke with him also.
Yeah, I sent Mr. Cooley a text and I told him that I was also proud of the comments we got. But I told him, I said, he not only did a home run on this thing, I said, he had a walk-off grand slam.
Mhm.
I said, yeah, it was just, and again, I had someone here last night visiting my daughter who's visiting. And she said, well, we have someone graduating in 2 years. Can we do that again? So, yeah, so I mean, yeah, he started something.
It'll be an accomplishment to be back in the gym next May. I look forward to being that normal that we are back having a graduation with 3,000 people in attendance and doing it like we usually do. But that was cool.
I talked to one parent whose son went down the racetrack. The mother was in the back seat screaming, and she said her son was going 105 miles an hour.
Oh, wow.
It's unreal. Ralph, I clocked you at 80.
I tell you, I was scared. I don't know how those guys do that. At that mile per hour, they get what, 200? They hit 200 out there? Wow. I don't know. Not me. Woo, I was afraid. So
Well, then we had one student. I don't know whether you guys were there. He went down at the end and went in the sand. And when he tried to back out, he got deeper in the sand. So they had to pull him out.
yeah, I was afraid I was going to hit the sand. I didn't want to do that. So
They did have a good time. That's what it was all about. They had a good time.
That's for
Everything
sure.
they've lost, they had a great experience.
yeah. Anyone else? Anything else we want to bring up tonight?
Just one thing, Beth, I want to congratulate you and your daughter on her graduation too.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Sure.
you.
Okay, anything else before we ask for adjournment? Steve, you have anything? Lisa, any more? Wonderful. Okay.
No, nothing. Just waiting for normalcy.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Lisa, you want to go first?
I did.
Okay,
So moved.
thank you, Mrs. Wick. And do I have a second?
I'll second this time.
Thank you, Mrs. Snellinger. Roll call.
Mrs. Wick,
Yes.
Mrs. Schellinger,
Yes.
Mr. Linder,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler.
Yes. And thank you, all of you people that are online with us, joining us tonight. Appreciate you being with us. That'll do it, folks. So have a good week and month.
See you later.
See you again.
Okay, thanks.
Have a good evening.
Take it easy. Good evening.